You've probably been here before. You open up a Power BI report just before a leadership meeting and then suddenly feel that awkward moment because the report just doesn't look professional enough. Maybe the fonts don't match, or the charts are uneven, or the whole page just looks like an Excel dump. And when that happens, it really puts you on the back foot because looking unprepared in front of your stakeholders is not what your day needed. My name is Anne, and I'm going to show you 8 quick built in Power BI design tweaks that make your existing reports look exec ready without writing any code or using any third party tools. These tips mean that you're not going to be cringing the next time you have to present Power BI data. The fastest way you can elevate a dashboard is to clean up the layout. But what's the simplest place to start when you need an instant improvement? Well, it's going to be alignment. For example, on the screen right now, you can see the before version of my IT incident report. Nothing is wrong in the data, but everything feels slightly off because the report looks like it was built in a rush. Misaligned visuals immediately signal unfinished before anyone's even read a number. So let's start with trying to align it. What I've done is on the page is select multiple different visuals, just holding down Control, and then I use Align and Distribute buttons. Some people don't know that these are in Power BI. You might be familiar with them from PowerPoint, and they're just as handy in Power BI for bringing your visuals in alignment or evenly spacing them across the page. Also, for the visuals, I've gone through and added padding, just a few pixels so that the text and the charts have some breathing room. And because titles really matter, I rename them. So it doesn't just use the column names. Instead, it means something meaningful, and that can make such a difference to giving a professional feel to the page. These might seem like small little tweaks, but people always notice the improvement. Next, for impact, let's think about all the extras within a chart. I've heard this described as the ink to data ratio, because what you're doing is making sure that you're giving enough space or ink to the data, removing the visual noise. But the trick is deciding on what can you take away without losing clarity. The go-tos for me are heavy grid lines. These compete with data bars and can make the values harder to interpret. Or duplicating titles and repeating labels. These can clutter and slow down comprehension. For example, your executive audience can probably recognize the months of the year without a label that says months. And decorative backgrounds soak up attention instead of supporting your message. So keep it clean. The less noise that you have in your page, the stronger your message becomes. And even with clearer visuals, reporting can still feel inconsistent if some charts have a slightly different format to others. Rebuilding the formatting manually for each chart can take a lot of time. So what I suggest is you fix one visual fully and then use the format brush to copy the fonts, labels, axes across all the different visuals. I'm going to let you into a secret. I'd been using Power BI for years before somebody pointed this button out to me. Really was not my most efficient moment. I now use it all the time and it saves me a lot of effort. But once I've got the formatting right, then the next step is going to be about deciding where those visuals sit physically on the page and thinking about how do you place visuals in a way that aligns to how people naturally read. Viewers scan in predictable patterns, usually an F shape for Western audiences. So in this example, I placed my high level numbers up at the top, my KPIs on the left, and I just left 2 essential bar charts for trends. And I removed that extra chart from the original so that I could keep the layout clean and just have data that helped tell my story. Clear structure is helpful, but insights also really depend on visually seeing performance. So rather than having a separate target chart or list, you can use conditional formatting in your report. For the KPI visual in Power BI, you can add a target series. This is out of the box and gives you conditional formatting to the shaded area to show past performance. And Power BI is going to let you then define whether good is high or low and adjust the different colors. It's really easy and very impactful. The other visual I use for targets, and I really don't see very often in other people's reports, is using overlaying columns to then show where a target or threshold is. This is also no code. It's just about adjusting the formatting within Power BI settings. Then the overlay effect shows the target versus the actual really clearly. Tell me in the comments if you want a demo of exactly how I build this chart or if it's something that you're already using. Once your visuals are communicating clearly, the next thing to do is to consider navigation. I sometimes see folks using on canvas navigation buttons, but doing this takes space away from the content that matters the most. And I think you can skip this entirely because the Power BI service already shows page names in a pop out panel, which frees up your report space to just focus on insights. Now, thinking about color, in this example, I wanted to just use the default Power BI theme so that you could see that even that looks good. I know that you can get third-party theme generators that write theme code for you, and they can be really helpful. But I also know that a lot of folks that their corporate network means that you can't use third-party tools like that. What I did in this example is really simple. In this report, all I've done is change the canvas and the wallpaper to a soft neutral grey. I think that matches really well with the Power BI theme within the browser, and it pairs it nicely then with a white visual background. For the cards, I ditch the visualization background and make that transparent, and instead format the cards themselves. And this one is controversial, but I like the shadows for some designs. What the trick is to do is customize it. So use a much lighter grey and increase the blur. It makes it much more subtle. And lastly, we couldn't leave out what Power BI excels at the most, interactivity. But the more interaction isn't always better. The goal has to be to add just enough responsiveness to help viewers understand what the report is saying without overcomplicating it. And I know a lot of people just think this means a lot of slicers. But actually, too many slicers can cause a lot of confusion and distract from the narrative. So I like to try and keep things quite lightweight. And in fact, in this example, I haven't got any slicers. Sometimes what I do is like change hover states so buttons look clickable, and that's one option. Or here, what I've done is look at tooltips. In this example, I've added an information button with a short tooltip. I've done that by updating the action and tooltip options within the formatting pane. And now when I hover over it, I get this little explanation for what this chart means. These tiny signals are fantastic for a user's experience. Your report now looks polished and, dare I say, presentation ready. But don't lose some of that polish when you screenshot it and just plonk it into PowerPoint. What if your slides stayed fully interactive instead? Watch this next video and I'm going to show you how to embed your exact report pages directly into PowerPoint so your data stays live and interactive. See you there.